a little bit of background. The pandemic meant here in Boulder that we were shut down for a long period of time, like most of you. And we didn't have an opportunity until the beginning, maybe the second week of March, to actually do face-to-face sales calls again. Most of them was Zoom or team meetings or over the phone. Unfortunately, a lot of them were done by email. So when this mobile app came through, I was really excited about it. And I decided I was going to work on it a little bit and then show my staff. So I have 3 sales reps here in the office. And it must have been near the middle of February, we got the app. The 3rd or 4th week of February, I sat down individually with each rep. I sat down with Carter and Matthew and Kelly and each one of them. And I went through the app and we did it all together and showed them how it worked and how the numbers, they didn't have to know the numbers were all just being put in there by Pulse itself. Each one seemed to be very excited, said, yes, they're going to use it. Yes, it's going to happen. Well, it got to be mid-March and I realized I hadn't heard a single story about people using Pulse. So I had a sales meeting with everyone on Thursday morning, just like today. And I asked them all to bring the laptops to the meeting. I normally don't have them with the laptops. So they brought them in and I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do Pulse together. And we're going to take real life situations and we're going to go through them as a group and find out what we like about it and what's going on. So the first one up was Carter. And he's our newest rep. And he pulled it up and we pulled up a customer. And in this case, it was a restaurant. And he was going to go see a restaurant and we went through the steps. We simply put in that it was a restaurant, it was a pizza place, and let's see what the numbers look like. And we went through the process. First of all, we selected, what kind it was, what our reach is going to be, how many households it's going to be. Went through and we saw that the number was somewhere in the neighborhood, and I'm recalling this from memory, I'm sorry, but somewhere like $8 million in revenue available in this market for pizza restaurants. So that was like, everyone was kind of stunned by that. Then we went through each step. And as we went through it, people kept saying, well, maybe that's not the right number. And I said, well, the greatest thing about this is you can change the number. If you think that the household is not going to spend $650 in a year's time at a pizza place, what number do you think it's going to be? And remarkably, my staff came up with higher numbers. I said, no, I'm going the opposite direction. I believe in minimizing everything. If you think $650 a household on pizza a year is too little, I'm going to say, I think $400 is more the number. So I put in $400 and said, let's use that as our number. And we went through and we picked, pizza slices, pizza to go, all those categories and put it in there. And we came up with a campaign. And then I asked everyone, now I don't know in everyone's market, but in my market, if you're a restaurant, a medium-sized restaurant, a quarter-page ad is the most typical form of advertising you would do with us. So I said, let's do a quarter page. No one knew what that was. I said, look, it's about $11,000 for a whole year. If they were to spend $11,000 a whole year, what would they come up with? And they plugged that in as the campaign. And it turned out that it would take 2.5 people each month to make the campaign actually pay for itself. That's what we turned out with. And it was like amazing to people. That was so easy. Well, the thing about it was my 2 other reps started going, wait a second, let's do one of my customers. And so we went to it. We did one for a gym. And then Kelly was like, no, I want to do one of my restaurants. And she did that one. And the thing that I learned from it was me doing it individually with the reps. That was nice. That was top down. That was the boss telling them what to do. Sitting in a meeting and sharing it with everyone, they all got excited and they started talking about other customers they could do. And the 3 of them talked themselves into why they needed to use Pulse Research, why they needed to use this mobile app. So here's what happened. Just in that 1 week, we had an art gallery that had never talked to us before. Went out and they asked for research on a 1-sheet. So we prepared the 1-sheet. Then we did the Pulse Mobile in front of them. And they signed up for a 13-time contract immediately, right there on the spot. That was for Carter. Boulder Bicycle is another company that we had done, excuse me, my computer just turned off, Boulder Bicycle, a very small nonprofit, really, really tiny, did maybe one ad a year with us, that was it. They just signed up for a whole 6-month campaign with us every other week. Again, showing that how people use bikes here in town. Now it's Boulder, people bike, all right? We have a lot of tourism. So this was a natural for them. And they bought for us every other week using Pulse. The next one was a barbecue place. We mapped out a Halfpage ad campaign for them. They were concerned, what they wanted to do was catering. They didn't want to advertise. They don't want to advertise their regular barbecue. They wanted catering. They wanted to do it for Mother's Day, for graduation, and for summer picnics. We did that, went through the whole thing with Carter. They did end up buying the Halfpage for 13 times. Again, it was simple because all we had to show them was how little it took to make back the price or the cost of their advertising campaign. And in fact, in most cases, they could make 4 to 5 times their investment just off of this. That was the exciting thing about it. We had one person who, they're signing with us, but I just told them their expectations are unreasonable. It's a gym. They want 100 new members every month. Thank you. Someone laughed because I think that's hysterical. I told them, no, that's not going to happen. I don't care I don't know how we're going to deliver 100 new customers a month for them. Again, they signed up for 26 times. They're doing Halfpages with us. We brought it back down to that if they could get 10 to 15 new customers a month, they were doing very, very well. And that was the hardest thing to explain. And part of being the rep talking about, you have to bring people's expectations down. So that's what we did. We've had 2 complete failures. I got to tell you, absolutely, with Pulse. One person, and it was another pizza place. We thought we were doing well with pizza. It was obvious the new general manager had been told by his boss to take the meeting. And he was so disinterested. And when we tried to show him Pulse, he said, I'm not interested. Don't show me those. Those numbers aren't real. So it was a no-go. Another one was another person who said, I just don't believe in research. I don't believe in it. So I don't care what you're going to show me. We went through the numbers and he said, I told you, I don't believe it. I'm like, okay, well, that happens. But I got to tell you, we are hitting, I'm going to say close to 40% right now on actually signing people on the first presentation. It's a really amazing item. It helps us close pretty damn quickly. I'm sorry, pretty darn quickly. I'm excited about it. My staff's excited about it. We're doing best of right now. I don't know if y'all do best of in your market. We're doing best of right now. It is run like crazy, try to talk to people. And we're trying to talk to them about not just buying an ad in best of, but also buying a regular contract. And Pulse is the tool that we're using. The greatest comment I got, though, was from a longtime previous customer who during the pandemic totally didn't advertise with us. When Kelly went out and showed them the mobile app, they said, wow, you've really stepped up your game and you've become more professional. And that was really nice to hear. We had always supplied numbers. We'd always done research, but they just thought the ability for them to take the laptop and change the numbers on the fly gave them control over the presentation. And they thought that was just a huge advancement for us. So that's my story. Pretty quick, right? Yeah, I did it in 12 minutes. There it is, Sammy.
Super, Fran. Well, thank you very much. You can see why I wanted to have Fran share his story with everyone. So let me go through the half dozen or so questions which came in advance, Fran. And if folks, I'll start looking at the chat box now. So it sounds to me like you've been able to keep the excitement up, Fran. Have you had to do anything, or have the reps just stayed excited?
I have to remind them every day. It's a constant. It's like anything in advertising sales. You always have to say, what's the priority today? What are we working on today? The hardest thing is because they're in best of, they want to just sell the special. And it's reminding them, I'm really looking for contracts. And let's make sure we can get in and see people and do Pulse. If you have the time, I know the customers are very excited about winning. They're terrific and they want to just buy that one ad and you just want to get back and go into the next customer. But can you take the time and do a 5-10 minute presentation with them with Pulse and talk about a regular contract? I have to do that almost every single day. You know, Yeah, let me put this in perspective. Best of is about 10 to 15% of our annual income. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal.
Well, good luck with that. Thanks for, and have you focused on, you mentioned pizza a couple of times, restaurant. Is there a category that has worked better, or are you focusing on all categories? And what are you thinking?
So we're doing our traditional, so we're an alternative news weekly. Much like if anybody has in their market, whether it's used to be Village Voice or Westward or Miami New Times or I don't know what else, Phoenix, all around the country, there's alternatives, weekly newspapers. So our core, entertainment, restaurants, health and fitness, those are the core. And so that's what we're going after. What we've noticed since the pandemic is a lot of new businesses have opened up. We don't know them. This is a perfect opportunity. So we're prospecting. Sometimes we're using Pulse itself to find the new customers, but a lot of it is just walking down the street or driving around and saying, that's a new business. We need to call on them. The hardest people right now for me to call on are the people who dropped out 2 years ago during the pandemic, and their businesses haven't really recovered. So new business, new prospects, that's the core of what we're going after right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. And on the prospecting point, there was a question about, do you have a minimum number of requirements per day or week or month on prospecting? What's your metric there, if there is one?
There is one. So I've always done this. I totally believe in it. I call it being back to basics, which is face-to-face is the best way to make sales calls, not phone and not email. And I ask people to do 3 to 5 every single day on average. I mean, and by the end of the week, I'm hoping they saw 15 to 25 customers. Of those, I'm hoping, that more than half of them are brand new prospects. That's what we're shooting for. But I ask people to go to see 3 to 5 people in person every single day.
All right, cool. And perhaps related, do you have goals other than prospecting goals? Do you have dollar goals? Do you have other metrics that you actually try to achieve using Pulse, or even without using Pulse?
Only when we're doing, our weekly numbers, our weekly issue and our special issues, we have goals for that. But I don't have a daily goal because it varies. I saw someone pop up a question, wanted to know if that 3 to 5 was just prospecting or servicing. It's a mix of both. I want them to see 3 to 5 people in person every single day. I'm hoping when they're seeing service calls that they're using Pulse to reinforce the sale and to renew sales. That's what I'm hoping they're doing with that. But so far, the results I'm getting are, and I asked people for their comments, everyone that I got back was about a new customer. I didn't say anything about a previous customer yet or a renewal. But I imagine it's going to work just as well. I mean, it has been, boy, I'm going to be careful. I will say a lot of salespeople, not all, but a lot of salespeople have math fright. And they're scared of doing the numbers. And they're even scared of what the numbers are, right? So practicing it with the sales team is important and showing them how the numbers were reached. I love that little eye for information, that says, here's where your numbers came from. That really, really secured it in the rep's mind that the numbers were real. And occasionally customers ask us, but the reps have already answered it before we even showed them the numbers. Where the numbers are coming from is from Pulse research that was done on a regular basis, and it's looking 12 months forward. That really answers the question for our customers.
Got it. And Grant asked in the chat box for that difficult client who said he didn't believe in any of the numbers. Did you or the sales rep ask him what he does believe in?
No, it was a very short meeting. Sorry.
I've never heard of such a thing.
It was quite honestly, the rep made the appointment, very excited about it. We go, and it was obvious the person was told by his boss to take the meeting and had no interest in it. So, yeah.
Okay, and another question from Michael is, you mentioned the 3 to 5 prospecting calls a day. So are those businesses that you've never had a relationship with, or lapsed businesses, or are they service calls?
So, like I said, out of the 3 to 5, I'm hoping that 2 to 3 of them are brand new prospecting calls.
Okay.
The other 2 whatever in the day. And by the way, this isn't an average. I mean, for instance, Wednesdays are production days, so I don't think they see that many people on Wednesday. So Thursday and Friday is, good days, so they tend to see more people then. But I always say, at the end of the week, I want to see 15 to 25, in-person calls, a mix of brand new prospects, renewals, bringing old people back in, and service calls. And I want to hear about what's going on and what people are talking about in our marketplace. Right now, in Boulder, the biggest thing, we're about to hit tourist season. Sort of right after Mother's Day, right after graduation, the town starts seeing a lot of people coming here for hiking and biking and things like that. So I'm making sure that we're covering our summer sales season. That's what I'm talking to people about right now.
Got it. And other than the reaction from the don't believe anything advertiser, has there been any other pushback or support, positive or negative, on the data or showing a mobile device? Is that, what kind of general reaction have you got from advertisers?
I'll tell you the reaction, because I've asked everyone to take either their iPad or their laptop out. And the joy, I think, with the customer is seeing the numbers being there created in real time, and then asking, do you believe this number? Do you want to change this number? Do you think it's too high, too low? Where do you think the number really should be for what you can expect to get from a person or a household in a year's time? And that interactivity with the customer, I think, is what's driving most of the reaction to it.
Yeah. Super. Let me check the chat box real quick. I don't see anything else. So let me just wrap up by saying thanks to everyone. If you haven't talked to me or your colleagues at Pulse about Pulse Anywhere, please let us know, because the success Fran has enjoyed is what you can enjoy. So it's a fantastic way to engage prospects and customers. Oh, wait a second, I got one more chat. Let me look real quick. Quick question then. During your meetings with clients, how much time do you dedicate to speaking about the Pulse information?
I would say 10 to 15 minutes. One thing I didn't tell you about, we don't do it on our phones. It was really too small on the screen and a little bit not as valid as when we did it on our laptops and our iPads. That worked better. So if I have a piece of advice for you, really try to use it on a laptop or an iPad. That seemed to be more dynamic for the customer. I would say, when you were presenting, it depends on, oh God, of course it depends on every customer. When you're doing it, the customer, when you show it the first time, it maybe take 5 minutes, but then I ask them to now challenge every part of what I just did. Let's start from the beginning. Do you believe I'm actually reaching, 49 households every single week in Boulder Weekly? Do you believe that there's $8 million to be had for a pizza joint, or is that too high? What do you really believe? Let's move the numbers so we could see what's really going to be. When they see that minimal advertising really can be paid for with 2 or 3 customers every single month, it becomes an easy selling tool for them. It gets over the risk and the hurdle of, how do I know? How do I know that this is paying for itself? How do I know that I'm going to get a return on this? It's just minimal. Now it's up to you, advertiser, to make the offer good enough to make people respond to it, and then we start talking about the offer in the campaign. So I would say anywhere between 5-12 minutes is what we're spending with Pulse, maybe, in a sales call.
Okay, cool. I don't see any more questions. Thanks, Fran. A couple of wrap-up points then. Next month, we're going to have what we're calling the Pulse Challenge. We are going to finalize this, and you'll be computed, but for reps who create 5 presentations, they'll be automatically entered a contest, and one of our sales reps will win $1,000. So be on the lookout for information about that. This is what we're just doing to try to get people excited about going out with the Pulse Mobile, whether it be on laptop or phone or iPad.